Hey, welcome to Spark Thought, where we dive in on situations from new angles, from different outlooks to see if we can uncover and discover a couple different things. So this video here is going to be about how to get your man, or what I should say, playlist, because Lord knows we need more than one video to help these women get their husband. And I just want to dive in on just being single. I have sisters and I have nieces, all grown, and I watch how they just go, like, soon as they break up, they just like right back in the saddle, so to speak. And I don't think that breakup time is really, oh man, how can I say, utilize. And that's what this video is for. Because when you break up, especially the longer you've been with a person, or the deeper connection with that person, the more time it takes for you to get back healed, or to get back healthy enough to be in a new relationship. And that's what this video is talking about. Uh, let's call it reflection, right? You know, uh, if you was an all-star athlete and you got injured, you never just go back in the game without being looked over, without being analyzed to see what's going on. And I just want to analyze your breakup, or what you've been through, so we can discover how to make sure that never happens again. Learning from it, understanding what's going on, understanding the root causes of things, and then also being a beneficiary of what happened. Growing from it, and growing in wisdom, and becoming wiser to the situations or situations. So when you dive into reflect using this time, and this is very important into finding a husband, because all men, all men want a healthy woman, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, especially emotionally. You don't want to take your emotional baggage to the next relationship, and whatever that man do would trigger certain things that, like, would bring this emotional baggage out. You want to keep that from happening as much as possible. And one of the ways to do that is to dig into this reflection state. Okay, what is the reflection state? You just broke up, you're newly single. Now it's time to dive into, hey, what's going on with me? Let's get back to self-love for a second. So when we talk about reflection, we talk about what was some of the goods out of that relationship you came to. And by the way, you definitely want to write this down. You definitely want to grab a pen and paper, write this down. You definitely want to be all in on this reflection part, because this is going to help you grow. This is going to help you let go. And then this is going to help you know going forward. So you looking over the relationship, or whatever kind of connection that you just had, and you want to take away the positives, and you want to look at all the bad things. Obviously, you want to build on the positives, and you want to decrease the negativity. Now, when you go into this reflection period, it is very important that you look at this from a third party or fourth party angle. You can't look at this from self, because rarely is self ever wrong. But if you put everything that you did from a perspective of a counselor, or a perspective of grandmama or grandmother, right? Like, when somebody else look at your situation and they give you feedback, you know if the person is wise, you know that they're gonna be like, hey, this is what you did wrong. So you want to look at it from that perspective. You never want to look at it from self, because self is never wrong, and there's some chances that you may miss out on some growth because you looking at it like, I didn't do nothing wrong. Be honest with yourself. Be very honest with yourself. Honesty is key to growth. Honesty is key to reflection, and honesty is key to a healthy step forward, right? So let's say you coming out this relationship, you injured. Before you can dive into a real serious another connection, you gotta get well, you gotta get healthy, right? You gotta fix whatever's been hurt or whatever's been broken. We gotta mend it. We gotta find some way, somehow, to put a splint or to completely get rid of the problem, right? We gotta make sure that we don't go into the next relationship hobbling and weak and don't have our full strength and stability. And reflection is definitely one of the ways you can do that. So now that you wrote down all the good and bad from a third party's perspective, next thing you want to do is just take some time to really go over some things. Hey, yeah, this is where I failed at. Okay, I see that now. Now you want to start putting plans in place to make sure that we decrease that or to eliminate that. And this is another thing that's going to help you catch your husband, because men are not always looking for what you do right, but what you do wrong and how often or how much you do it. Like, you can be the best woman in the world, but if you got an attitude like you finna take over the underworld, yo, we're not sticking around. At least I'm not. At least any wise man in any stable position is not going to let that cloud his peace. Okay? So we got to take the things that you did bad in the relationship, and we got to learn to definitely decrease or eliminate each one of them things. And nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens overnight. So I don't want you to look at it like, oh, okay, I know what I did wrong, and then have it completely fixed tomorrow. Especially depending on how bad the breakup was. Like, take however bad the breakup was. Let's say your breakup was about a 4 or 5. Now you gotta times that by 30 days. And that'll give you like a period of window, to work on these things separately. Like, you can't work on this and work on this. I mean, unless it's some things that's like really close together. Like, let's say anger issues, and then finding root causes of your anger issues, right? Like, that's really close. You could probably work on that at the same time. But let's say you dealing with trust issues and you dealing with abandonment issues, right? Like, don't try to work on that stuff together. Handle what coaches call the MDM, the most dangerous man. That's, in other words, first things first, right? So if you having a hard time trusting people, or if you having if you're dealing with some kind of abandonment issues, whichever one is more important to you is probably the thing you need to handle first. Like, don't be afraid you can't be afraid to sit there and say where my flaws are, because nobody is perfect. And going forward, and when I get to start making some more videos, we'll dive into representing your flaws, right? Because when you really want to be with somebody, you have to put your flaws first. You have to sit there and say, these are my flaws. But also in videos to come, you will also be able to say, hey, but this is what I'm doing to work on my flaws. This is what I've done. Right? But you got to be able to recognize your flaws before any reflection can happen, before any growth can start. We got to find the weeds. We gotta find the weeds, identify the weeds, pull the weeds, and then now you'll see new growth starting to develop in those areas. And of course, it'll spread to, all areas of your life. But let's let's look at all of your flaws. Let's be real with ourselves. Hey, this is what I'm having trouble with. This is what, you know. As soon as you do that, it's gonna be an immediate relief. Like man, I'm glad I got that off my chest. Like I should have been to done this. We cannot conquer anything if we can't identify it. To identify it and to admit that it's there, half of the battle is already over with. Like I would say a little bit more, probably 60% of the battle is over with. So once you say, hey, yeah, I got trust issues from this relationship, I'm dealing with abandonment issues from this relationship, I'm dealing with cheating issues from this relationship, or I'm dealing with abusive issues from this relationship, now we can start to put a plan together to work on being better. And because this is so important, is another reason why you just don't want to jump into another serious relationship. You definitely need this time to reflect going forward. You know, one of my favorite sayings is Victoria amant decurum, and it's Latin for victory loves preparation. So if you want to be victorious in finding and keeping a husband, there's preparational steps that must be taken for you to get there. The more prepared you are, the more victorious you will be with your journey of getting married, staying married, and being happily married. Don't underestimate this reflection part. This is some really important steps you talking about for all kinds of stability, financial stability, emotional stability, right? You want to be stable in all areas going into another relationship, a serious relationship, or a relationship that you expect to have for a long time, if not for the rest of your life. Reflect, reflect, reflect. This reflection is I won't say it's everything, but when you start to become a better woman, people is gonna notice. Other women is gonna notice. Other Definitely all the men is gonna notice. Just by identifying where you are where your shortcomings is in this area of relationships, men will immediately notice. Like, man, she snapped out on me, but immediately, she recognized where she was wrong at. She came to me, yo, even though I don't like her snap it on me, yo, man, the fact that she was able to identify this, the fact that, she apologized for this, and the fact that she's showing and telling me, things she's working on doing, like as a male, those are things that we want to see. Those are things that we want to have in our woman and our wife and our lady. Like, because again, a wise man, any man knows that nobody is perfect. Nobody. And so we want to see growth. Just like how y'all want to see us do better, look better, feel better, get better. We want to see the same thing. We want to see the same thing. So reflection is not so much of you analyzing your faults and everything, but reflection could be decreasing the bad times in your next relationship. You identifying these situations is drastically improving the chances of you having a stable, happy relationship or connection with your next relationship going forward. After you identify all of your flaws and then it's time to make a plan. So once you identify everything, it's time to make a plan, right? And I, we already done that. However many flaws times 30 days. We already done that, but Another easy rule of thumb is however long you was in a relationship, take at least a third of that length to reflect, you know? So if you was in a 1 year relationship, hey, take 4 months. Take 4 months to really just analyze the whole situation between you and your last partner. If it was 5 years, take a year and 7 months or something like that. My math ain't all that good. But don't try to rush it. Don't try to rush it. Let's just get back to working on you. Right? Because every relationship is 50-50, no matter how much we think it was all that other person. It almost never it was all that other person. That's self. That's the pride in self. We don't want to deal with that pride. We don't want to deal with that ideology of, it's the other person. Let's take time to admit, hey, yeah, that was me. Yeah, I can't lie. When you didn't answer my phone call 2 times in a row and I went home and snapped, yeah, that was me. That was all me. Or whatever the case may be. That this reflection can take you to the next level. And not just in your relationship, but in also personal goals and anything that you want to accomplish for yourself. So now that you identified and now that you made a plan and now that you consistently working on this, the next part of reflection, the other part of reflection is self-love. Self-love is a big thing because any kind of relationship that you want to get into is an extension of how you love yourself. Everything that you do in life is an extension on how you look, see, treat, and love yourself. And relationships is no matter. A man or a partner, whatever the case may be, is not going to replace that love that you have for yourself. It's not possible. A person can never give you so much love to where if you look in the mirror and don't like what you see or don't like how you feel or you not in tune with you, there's no amount of love your child, there's no amount of love your mother, there's no amount of love anybody can give you that's going to fill that void. And the more you love yourself, the less love you need from everybody else. Don't go into a relationship like, oh man, I want him to love me like he's never loved anybody before. Especially when you have this void, because it's like pouring water into a glass with a hole at the bottom. It's more, but that's not the case because nothing is staying. It's that type of void. Self-love will plug that hole up. Self-love is what's going to have anybody you bump into show you a little bit of love, and it's going to feel like a lot because you already are so in tune with yourself. You love yourself so much that when your kids show you a little bit of love, it's the world. It's the world because you in tune with self. And the first thing you got to do with self-love is is start loving yourself. You know what I mean? Find ways to make you happy. Find ways to cheer you up when you down, when you sad, when you not feeling good. Take you out on a date. I know everybody's like, I'm grown and I don't want to go nowhere by myself and I look lonely and desperate. No, we have to take us out on dates. You know what I'm saying? That, excuse me, I'm trying to get over a little cold, but self-love, man, take you for an unbelievable time. Take you out for an unbelievable time. Have fun with just you. Because the better and easier it is for you to have fun with yourself, you will be able to have fun with anybody, with everybody. Because no matter where you go, you will always be with you. So as long as you and you cool, or you and inner you, or inner you and outer you, or the physical you and the emotional you, yo, when y'all cool, when y'all connect, ain't no stopping you. Ain't no stopping you. Now that void of self-love is filled. Now, when you create extensions, have children, have family, have co-workers, and then more importantly, your next relationship, when that love is received, it's different. It's different because you're not using their love to fill you. You're not using their love for self-love. It's a completely different ball game. Then now you operating in a position to where you can see. You can see the little things that a person does. Oh man, my baby girl washed the dishes for me, or my son washed the dishes for me, or my dog came up and sat on my lap. Little things that you probably wouldn't notice if you was dealing with self-love issues. But once you're not dealing with self-love issues, those little things become giant things. Like, oh man, that person really loves me. The intake is different. And the intake is continually different. And any kind of amount of love shown is received totally different when you're not dealing with self-love issues. So, we went over some ways to self-love, going back to just loving yourself, finding ways to make you happy, finding ways to cheer you up when you're down, finding ways to take you, yourself, your inner self, your higher self out and having a great time. And also self-love, being able to be alone. See, a lot of women just cannot be alone. They keep people around them that are bad for them just out of fear of being lonely. And that stems from some self-love issues. You gotta be able to be by yourself. Matter of fact, you gotta get to the point where you love being by yourself. You gotta get to the point where it's just like, if ain't nobody in this world, I can still be happy. Cause I love myself. I love myself enough to know, hey, we got self, right? When we have nobody else, we got self. And you and that bond with self got to be so strong to where you don't even recognize you lonely. Like, of course, hey, ain't nobody else around, but it's not a bad thing. Like, oh, okay, hey, yeah, it's just myself. Self, what you want to do today? Les Brown said that we cannot be happy unless we grow. Right? So when you grow with self, when you knock out some major goals, and this is where self-love really comes into. Cause let's say, a lot of people is dealing with weight issues. When you handle or you know what, not even handle, when you get a hold to your weight issues, and when you identify them, and you working on whatever you work on, because I know some women that like being big. I know some women that really like their shape. They just want to tone it up a little bit. Or I know some women that just want to get in the habit of doing healthier things, for setting examples for their children. Right? So when you conquer them goals, you grow itself. Right? And when you grow itself, then you're happier with yourself. So when identifying, hey, how can me and myself be closer? How can I be more happier with myself? Accomplish goals. Hey, self, what do we need to work on? And let's write it down. Write it down. There's no pain. There's no harm. There's no big thing to write it down. But I guarantee you, soon as you write it down, you feel better. Almost instantaneously, you feel better. Hey, self, let's just go for a walk in the park today, tomorrow, and maybe Saturday. Whether you go or not, as soon as you write it down, you instantly feel better. Grow with self. Love self. Master loving you. And again, that extension, whether it be your children, relationship, co-worker, colleagues, is going to be completely different. Don't have anybody else try to fill the void of self. It'll never be filled. Never. So now that you reflect on your past relationship, now that you're working on self-love, then we can go into the next step. But that's another video. That's another time. I hope you was able to get a couple things out of this video. Again, thank you for coming to Spark Thought. Till next time.